Roastar Coffee Packaging, found online at roastar.com, prints great-looking bags for a host of your favorite coffee companies. Those companies trust Roastar to produce packages worthy of their specialty craft coffee beans. It's Roastar's mission, their ethos, to help their customers tell their stories, big or small. That includes those of you roasting coffee at home. If you're a small roaster wanting to share your coffee with friends and family and your coffee community, Roastar will support you too. Head to roastar.com to learn more about their quick turnaround times, digital printing, and smaller print runs. You can also use their design lab to create an entirely new package in the blink of an eye. In short, Roastar can help you. And on roastar.com, you can start with a quote and end with the perfect coffee bag to share your story. Now, on to the show. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Coffee People Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Woldt, and this is the very first episode of season freaking 12. This show is presented by Roastar Coffee Packaging and is part of the Roast West Coast Coffee Network. Go to roastwestcoast.com to find recaps of these episodes and our Coffee Smarter podcast, and frankly, so much more. For 4 years, I've been using this show to connect with guests who have some sort of connection to the coffee industry. We've shared the stories of roasters, baristas, farmers, scientists, artists, tech entrepreneurs, and more. When people ask me to describe the show, I say it's an exploration of entrepreneurship and motivation, with a dash of inspiration that's all wrapped up in coffee, somehow. The coffee is what connects us. Our first guest of season 12 is Yoshawn Smith, who has an inherently cool title as Barista In Residence at Califia Farms. He's also the coffee educator behind the Pour Up LA and the founder of the South Central Blade Club, which is bringing rollerblading and skating back to South Central. I've run into Yoshawn at several coffee festivals and have never been less than wildly impressed by how he and the Califia team handle their business as baristas in what can only be described as a chaotic environment. I'm glad he's here on the pod. And while you're listening today, be sure to click on the links in this podcast show notes and follow at the Pour Up LA on Instagram. You'll also find links in our newsletter at roastwestcoast.com, which you should sign up for. Our newsletter comes once a week, and you can listen to this show right there in the email if you're not already on Apple or Spotify like everyone else. Today, I'm drinking a cup of coffee that I brewed as a V60 pour-over. It's a blend of Colombia and Ethiopia from our friends of the show and new collaborators, Relative Coffee Company based in Minneapolis, Minnesota. More on that collab coming in upcoming episodes. And wherever you are today, I hope you have a fine cup of coffee, a cold brew, a cappuccino, or if you're lucky, all three to enjoy while you listen to this Coffee People podcast featuring Yoshawn Smith of the Pour Up LA.
My name is Yoshawn. At the moment, I am the Barista In Residence at Califia Farms headquarters in Los Angeles. And like the mission right now in coffee for me is just to bring the coffee aesthetic and the quality to places where people wouldn't normally think of to have that same quality, like within Los Angeles. So basically like looking at the places where there's like 4 Starbucks within a mile of each other, right? And it's always a question like, why can't we have a better option here? You know, so I'm showing people that the better option can either be you as a single person or us as a collective to bring that better quality to everyone else, you know?
That's actually a really interesting way to look at it, that you, as the consumer or as somebody wanting to start a business in coffee, have agency in your community to say, I want to make something better, even if it's just in my house.
Yeah.
I would like to point out that I've met you a couple times in passing at various coffee conventions. And for my money, you have made the single best coffee drinks I've had at any convention. I know the
I
convention
appreciate that.
space is chaotic and hectic, and it's not a place I would necessarily think of as there's somebody here who's got a lot of time to prepare and exact, but you somehow make it work and make it seem seamless. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's noticeable. I wouldn't say it if I didn't believe that. You mentioned Barista in Residence, which is a very cool title. I hope they give you business cards of some kind.
Oh, they did.
You also have this other thing called the Pour Up LA, where I see that
hmm
you do like barista training and kind of take that role further into the community. I'm wondering if you could tell us how that got started.
Yeah. So that was due to like the lack of trying to find baristas to work. Well, at the shop that I was working at before, and then I realized it was a problem for like almost every shop I knew people at. It was always like, hey, do you know someone who wants to be a barista or wants someone who wants like a job in coffee? And the only people I was able to contact were the same 10 people I know who already have jobs at coffee shops.
Hmm.
So I narrowed it down to like the reason why we can't find anyone is because during the pandemic, people got paid to stay home, right? A lot of the service workers at the time were like, why would I go back to doing that job? Why I now have an opportunity to do something else? So now that the shutdown is over, people are back to their lives. There's not enough baristas out there, enough social like service workers out there who actually want to do the job, or people who are willing to like learn how to do it. Because due to like intimidation of shops, because you go to a small shop, it will be busy. Um, Due to like failure to like multitask, which is a big deal in the service industry, especially like behind the bar, and like the lack of ability to socialize while working, which also falls into like the multitask. So I took it into my hands like, well, what's the problem? Right? There's not proper barista training out there. I mean, there is, but the price is out of reach for most people. And also like you have to travel if you're in South Central like I am, we have to travel to North Hollywood, right? To get any kind of like barista training. And that's again out of reach for people, especially for people who work. So I just asked the questions like, hey, well, would people be down to like come to some classes if I teach them? And I'll just have some homies show up. We'll teach it together because we all have different perspectives of what's going on. Because in the end, everything's subjective. But as long as people have a grasp on what to look for, they can get it and do it well on their own. And if they want to enter a shop atmosphere, they can do that too.
Hmm.
Because now you have 4 to 5 professionals who've been doing this for a while to vouch for them. Like, yeah, they get good in the class, they pull great shots of espresso, they understand what they're looking for. The latte art needs some work, but most shops latte art need work.
Is this something where coffee shops themselves should be offering this type of training or hiring out you to send people to? Or
Yes. Sorry.
yes, hire me, absolutely. Uh, the first thing I thought of was like when I was a younger person, which is a long time now, I would start a restaurant or hospitality job and there'd be quite a bit of training. And then as the years went on and expenses got more or costs got cut, that training sort of went away. And
hmm
it's always been important to me to provide to create a situation for employees who where they can succeed. But I think now it's more common for people to on their first day to kind of get thrown to the wolves,
Yeah.
see how you handle it, but then they never really build a foundation. Is that something you think coffee shops should be doing?
Yeah, they
And is it
should. 'Cause-
reasonable to sorry to interrupt, but is it
go
reasonable
ahead.
financially to ask them that?
Oh yeah, definitely. Because how I mainly learned was I was just thrown to the wolves. Like most of the people that I know, with the exception of like two, and that sucks. So when I had people come into the shop where I work, they were like, "Oh, you're training this person." I was like, "Okay, well, I can't teach you anything right now because there's 20 people walking through the door. So just watch what I do and keep up." And that's hard. That's hard to
Hmm.
do. So right now, like having an opportunity like this to be able to consult and train people is a great idea for shops. And what I'm looking at right now through Califia is to initiate a training program with shops that already use their product. So it's just like, hey, if you think your baristas need more training, right? They could come here to the headquarters on these days and train with me, or I can go out to your shop and train them on site, you know. And it benefits everybody because in the long run, it's like clientele can go up, right? People can get more excited about going to the coffee shop and experiencing this whole new array of talent there, you know. Or someone might discover something new about themselves where it's like, I didn't know I can do this, you know. Or like a lot of baristas now, I see it. They like get the job, like, oh, cool, it's a job, whatever. No, minimum labor job. That's what they expect until they get behind bar, where it's like you're the only person there. There's 10 people at that door. You got 20 drinks on the bar. You can't call for help.
Mm-hmm.
You got either freak out and cry, or you can work through it and get it done like a boss. No, you're like, yep, I can do this now.
Mm-hmm.
But that only comes with like training. You know, if you know your way around the bar, you know the bar flow, you know how to handle multiple drinks at a time and stuff like that. You know what to look for. You know your espresso is on point. Your batch brew is like done already. You gotta keep that flow going. But that just can't happen on the fly anymore because it's not the atmosphere for it. That time is over. So now like training is something that should happen for most shops because it would help out. Now, like I said, not only the shop but the baristas as well. You can also offer it to people, to customers, right, as a public event. That way, you can find new people to work in the industry or be a part of the industry. Makes finding help a lot easier that way. It's just something to engage with people more when it comes to events. You know, here in LA, like we have throwdowns, same people at the throwdowns. You know, and it's like we'll see like a couple of new faces, but it's all usually the same people. So having more people showing up and knowing about this world that we do live in for coffee, they're like, "Oh, what? I didn't know that." It's like, "Oh, how'd you find out?" "Oh, I went to a pour up coffee class and they told us about it." You know,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll just be amazing. Like right now, I train people, mainly friends. They're always asking questions. I always have answers. If I don't have the answer, someone else I know has the answer. But and they see that and they appreciate that a lot because it helps them out and it helps them grow as baristas in this industry. Like even though they're independent, they're constantly asking questions and growing.
That kind of makes me want to rewind a little bit and ask a little bit more about you, Yoshawn. Did you have a first experience with coffee that you kind of remember or got you started down this path?
Yeah. Surprisingly enough, I was working at the Pie Hole here in the
Okay.
Arts District. Yeah, dude. I was working at the Pie Hole and they had the coffee program through Clatch.
Mm-hmm.
And Clatch was like a well known name at the time. And I remember the manager making herself a pour over and she drank it, left her cup there. It was there for like 2 days. And I was like, why isn't this cup washed? But it just smelled like sugar, right? And me and a couple other people were confused, like, why does this cup smell like sugar? She explained it to us. And I was like, oh, okay. That makes sense. So and a lot of people are gonna laugh at this, but this is also the time right before Handsome Coffee closed. Um, so we went to Handsome Coffee and my friend was like looking for sugar and cream. They're like, no, no sugar, no cream. You have to drink the coffee like that. And their face was like, I don't want to drink this coffee like how it is. So, but I took a sip and I was like, yo, this is pretty good. Now I
Mm-hmm.
want to know more about this, because I didn't come to this pie shop to serve pie and wash dishes. No, I came to learn some stuff. So I'm gonna learn what I can about this coffee stuff. And that's when I started venturing out more to it from like those two little experiences.
That's an interesting customer service thing too, where they refuse to give you the thing you want because they think they know better. And in this case, they kind of do, but also they're forcing you into a tough spot that first coffee drink without that you drink raw, as I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So you start there. You're at
hmm
the pie hole. You taste a couple of coffees. You think I'm going to learn more. What's the
hmm
path? Where does that take you to eventually you become barista in residence?
Yeah, like well after that it was just finding others who are also out to do this, and that came with the second or third wave of employees I worked with at the pie hole, where they actually cared more about the coffee than like trying to look cute behind like a bar with the apron on. So we're like, all right, let's figure this out. Let's figure that out. Let's dial in the espresso. Let's see what drinks work best with what milks. So we were like doing experiments before like we were even told to do so. That's when they offered the training at Clash. Oh, Clash does training for $400. And of course the question came up like, well, are y'all gonna pay for us to go? No, you're not. Okay, cool. We're gonna do it here where we get paid to work and do what we do best.
Hmm.
Um, and then after that, I was good friends with some of the people at Tierra Mia in downtown as well, which Tierra Mia is another like big coffee Starbucks style company, but they started off as like a specialty coffee company. Started getting to know people at Tierra Mia, trying stuff out. Then when I started working there, it was like, okay, what can we do now? And it was the question was why does when I go to another Tierra Mia, this pour over doesn't taste the same as the one we make here. This small milk drink doesn't taste the same as it does here. Like why is that? Then we see
Right.
people taking the easy route. Then people like the people I was working with actually taking their time to care more about the drinks. So we're like, all right, cool. Let's figure this out. Let's do this more. And we got people coming in now excited because their drinks are tasting better. They get this whole experience. Start talking to people down the street at Verve and other local coffee shops that we're sharing recipes and stuff. So our pour overs became more unique. Our cappuccinos became more unique. We stopped putting like hella sugar in drinks. Like we just started leaning towards flavor and less sweetness. Started making funky little drinks for people that if you hear it, it wouldn't make sense. But when you put it in a cup and drink it, you're like, damn, this is nice. Like green tea and with a shot of espresso on top, that's tight. People don't know about that, but that's really good. Like, yeah, so it was there, and then it goes down just finding those ways to just help people out, and just like keep this coffee thing going in a way where it makes sense for not only me but for everyone I'm around.
Hmm. What happened when you hit roadblocks? I mean, or you came to a skill set that you were like, I don't know how to learn this. It sounds like you in particular, you were intrinsically motivated. You're driving yourself to do this
Hmm.
without necessarily a guaranteed reward from, say, your boss or your job at that point. You're trying to uplift this thing.
Yeah,
When you hit a point where you were like, I don't know what to do next, or this is a skill that nobody's here to teach me, where
yeah.
did you go? How did you push through that?
Oh man, that happens. That happened a lot. We'll just sit back and wait it out, because my thing is like, if it's not happening now, don't force it, because then it
Hmm.
wouldn't happen the right way. So yeah, we'll just take our time, wait until like the universe says, all right, let's fix this for you. And lo and behold, we had a problem with dialing in one espresso at Patria, I think. And it was just like, you know what? We can't figure this out. Espresso's not dialing in. The grinder's clogging up. The batch brew tastes like shit. So let's figure this out. Took a step back, chilled out for a minute, and I was like, you know what? We're gonna figure this shit out ourselves. Looked on YouTube, and figured out the grinder situation. Got a different coffee for everything. Switched everything up in like 20 minutes. Got everything going like like a band-aid on stuff. So just when nothing goes through or it looks like it's not going through, we just take a step back, let it do what it does. Either it's gonna happen or it's not gonna happen. But if it doesn't happen then, it's gonna happen later regardless. There's never like a plan A through B. We have a plan A through Z and like 1 through 100. There's
Hmm.
always a backup for something. But if something I personally can't do, I'm glad I now have a network of people who know. what to do if I can't do it. And I think they know as I feel the same way about them. If they can't do it and they had to ask me, then it's a real issue, you know. But we're gonna
Yeah,
get through it together.
the festival experience, coffee festival, is you're setting up a new bar essentially every event that you go to.
Yeah,
You're in particular, it's noticeable at the Califia. I never know which way to say it.
Califia.
Califia. At
Yeah,
the booth, I feel like you're known for latte art. How do you keep that consistent time after time after time when you're essentially working in a temporary space?
we treat it like a shop.
Mhm.
So I've only worked in high volume settings, and to me, it's never okay to take a shortcut with service stuff, right? Food and drinks, no
Mhm.
shortcuts, because that's one. That's how you lose clientele, and two, it's like it's an easy way for something really bad to happen. You know, I always imagine the cook in the back taking shortcuts to prepare your meal. That's how you get sick. Like, no matter how busy it is, no, that's not okay. So even with drinks, it's like if we're slammed and we're going, just keep it going, you know. But it's also the baristas I work with. Those three, Nick, Tyler, and Kat, if they were anyone else, we would not be where we were. And I know that. Like, there's a few other baristas I know. Actually, there's a lot of baristas I know here in LA that can like handle it, and they're always down to help too. But us four, we do get it going really well. We know our stations. We know what to do. Like right after you left LA, like the booth at LA Coffee Fest, that first day, we got like 8 drinks up, and man, they could just bam left and right slamming them out. You know, consistent pours, consistent shots. Even if we did mess up on them pour, we just redo it. You know, and something like to communicate as well to the customer. Oh, it wasn't right. Let me redo it. No, but oh, it's okay. Like, nah, it's not okay for me. You know, that's what it's all about. Like we're mainly doing for us to keep ourselves in check, but we also want the expo goer, the customer, to have a good experience too. You know, being at an expo, whether it's at an expo the size of like SCA or like Expo West or smaller ones like Coffee Fest or like a Shamrock show, it's gonna be the same thing. Like we're gonna push out that quality because that's what we would want, you know, and that's what we're gonna give the expo goer or the customer because it just makes more sense for us, you know.
The name The Pour Up, where does that come from? What does that mean?
Just coffee, pouring up those lattes, pouring up them drinks. It's something one of my good friends at the last shop I worked at, bought you a coffee. He always said, no, he'll be like, oh, Yoshawn with the pour up, oh, on them drinks. I'm like, all right, cool. That's what it is, you know? It's gonna be that. That's I love it. I love that. Like, it makes more sense, you know. The original design for it too was like a pitcher, like a milk pitcher, but I was like, you know what? Let's just take that out, put the words, you know. And it works out. And people see it and they know what's up now.
They recognize that. I'm thinking back just a moment ago when you're talking about your partnership with the other baristas, and there's this when you're on a team or when you are working in hospitality. I have always found that there is this kind of dance between employees, and you start to learn each other's movements and how they move, and
Hmm.
even you kind of referred to it, but if you bring someone else in who's just as good but they move in a different way, it can throw everything off. How do you work with somebody to develop that sort of relationship? Is it just like time and effort, or is it a natural chemistry that you think you have with some of your colleagues?
To be honest, like I think the people like the way it works is just like trash talking, right? Like if you are on the bar with somebody, y'all can trash talk each other without someone getting upset. It works, you know? And like that plays into like just having a conversation with somebody while working. Like if you can do that, you got it. But we just manage. because we just know what's going on. It's like a sixth sense in a way, you know, and it works out. If someone's like, "Hey, I just want to pull shots," that's cool. Just keep it going. But I know once they walk away, like if I walk away for a second or they walk away for a second, I know they're going to steam that milk and I'm going to pull that shot if we need to. And we'll just hop right back into it and keep it going. There has been times where we'll have someone like the salespeople for the booth hop in and I'll just be like, don't worry, I got it. Like, we got this.
It's like when the boss shows up and wants to help out, and you're like, it's just easier if you don't.
Just stay on register, bro. It's okay.
Yeah.
We don't need you anywhere near this machine. Just stay on the register.
When I was getting ready for this conversation, I saw that you have this other world, this other life in skate culture,
Hmm.
in skate culture LA. The South Central Blade Club, which
Yes.
I was kind of watching some videos, and you, as part of that, you have this whole series where you ask people what skate means to them, and you kind of delve into a little bit about mental health. How do those two things
Hmm.
overlap for you? What does being a skater mean to you?
It means a lot to me. Skating as a kid was a way for me to just go outside. No, sometimes either with my friends or by myself. But every time I was out skating, like, I never had a bad moment. Like, per se, like I can fall, get hurt, but at the end of the day, like, I felt good about it. It was never something to take away. I never knew it as something to take away stress from me. It's just like a way to relax, really. And it was always great. So when I was asking those questions, it was during Mental Health Awareness Month, and it's during the time where like skating is one of those sports where people don't talk about stuff like that. It's always like, "Hey, what's up? How you doing?" As in with most things, like, "Oh, I'm good, whatever." But no one stops like, "Are you all right? You're not skating as good as you should today, or as you usually do. Everything good? You good? You know, you mess up on the warm up trick. What's going on? You want to talk about it? We could do some push ups, have a conversation, figure it out.
Hmm.
Um, or if when I have the classes, when I have the outside class, like when we're just having skate sessions, people will be like, "Oh man, I don't know. It's just a hard day. No, I just gotta go skate. Let's go skate. You know, we'll go skate, talk about it, get some tricks in, chill. The day goes better. It's a therapy session for everyone. You know, having that freedom to have wheels on your feet and just glide around is tight. I wouldn't trade in it for anything else, really.
You mentioned classes, skate classes.
Hmm.
I haven't been on a pair of roller skates since like seventh grade, and even then, I was only doing it to try to like give a paper flower to another girl in my class. Can a beginner show up to a skate class and get started enough that they think they can do it a second time and a third time? What's a skate class like?
Oh yeah, so most of our classes are that. It's just beginners. I'll put a call out for days we are having skate classes and the times and stuff like that. And people like, if you need skates, let me know. If we have a size for you, we have a size. If we don't, still come hang out, see what's going on. But most of the people are either people who haven't skated in a long time, saw skating on the internet and want to get into it, but they didn't know how to or where to go. Or people who are just at the park, at the moment, like, "Oh, I want to try." Cool. We got skates. If we got your size, you can skate with us. We'll run you through the paces. We'll do the basics and stuff like that. I always let people know you will fall and it will not feel good, but you can't let the concrete win. You know, because if you do that, just stay home. Because like, if falling's a part of it, and people see me as like this professional skater. But I tell them, like, even you can be the best pro in the world, you still fall. You still get hurt, and that's just a part of the whole sport. That's any sport, really. I mean, you get hurt walking, but you still keep walking.
Well, there's something to be said for falling and knowing that you can get back up. It's
Yeah.
I'm not encouraging violence in any case, but you know, if you get hit by the concrete or you get hit by a punch once and you get back up, you know that you can. And once you have that
Hmm.
knowledge, it makes it a lot easier to go further, go bigger,
Oh yeah.
because you know that you've got some grit in you that you're willing to do that and get up.
Yep.
I saw that you
Yep.
did a toy drive as part of the skate group. Are you going to be doing something like that
Hmm.
again this year? We're just as we're getting into the fall, I suppose.
Yeah, we hope so. Right now we've been dealing with a lot of like red tape with this newly like designed skate track at our local park because I don't know, we don't know why. It's just been a hassle, but we finally got it open. No, so skate classes can happen again. So skate classes this Saturday at Colonel Leon Washington Park from 4 to 6. Yeah, we finally got it open. So like the thing now is since we have a designated area, we can have a toy drive there rather than having it at a skate park. You
Mm,
know, um, that was always the idea. Like the whole point of the classes at this park were to bring more the community out and see what's capable at the park. And with this like roadblock, like you were saying earlier, like with this roadblock, we just let it ride out. It was gonna figure itself out. It did because other people were pissed off. And now we can have the toy drive there. We can have back to school drives there. We can have little like barbecues there. It's open space now, and now the community can come out and enjoy it. So yeah, we will be doing another one. We're gonna partner up with our good friends PCP Co, a skateboard brand, and hopefully some other rollerblade brands, Item Clothing, Intuition Skate Shop, and probably Dim Skates. We're gonna try to make it a nice one this time.
is this something that you are? It's just something you do, or is this like? Are you trying to make a living both in coffee and in skate? I mean, is this like something that you see as your future career?
Coffee's the career. Skating is something I've done since I was 11 for the last 22 years. So I'm 33 now. Yeah, so 11. Skating for me has never been something I was looking forward to, like, oh, I can make money off of this. Because I think that would be something to take the fun out of it. But it'd be nice to get paid. Um, but at the same time, it's like I don't have much time to just go skate like that. And yeah, so like the coffee thing will always be the career, but the rollerblade thing is something I just love doing, and I want other people to see that there's joy in that sport too, which is also why the classes are free. You know,
Yeah, get more people involved.
yeah, get more people involved the right way. You come out, there's no commitment. Like you don't have to show up, because you're not paying for anything. You know, and I think that resonates more with a lot of people. So it's just something that's gonna keep going. We've been going 4 years strong now. I'm hoping to just do it more and more, get more tracks built, get more people outside, especially for like the summer. Not during this ridiculous heat wave we have right now, but just in general, because you can do it any time of the year.
I want to roll back around to coffee. I
Yeah.
use the word roll back around on purpose because of the skate. Just pointing that out to everyone for how my brain's working.
It's called fakey.
When you look back and you see your coffee experience and how you had to kind of push through and learn on your own, if there was somebody now who just got a job, they're behind the counter and they're starting to learn coffee, what is something you would
Hmm.
tell them? What sort of advice would you give to that person as they're considering moving forward in their own coffee experience?
Well, first I would ask if they need help because I would jump back there in a heartbeat to help out somebody who's trying. Second is like, don't ever be afraid to ask questions. The more questions you ask, the more answers you will get. And I know that sounds weird for some people because coffee is like a gate kept industry for some reason, right? Um, but yeah, like when someone needs help, dude, I am there. Like I said, other people are there. Don't ever stop asking questions because there's always an answer to something. And sometimes people don't know like why 2 hours after you dial in that the espresso is going to shit. because they don't understand like it changes. There's things happening in that grinder and with that coffee during that time that's not going to be the same as it was 2 hours ago. So now we got to figure this out. Let's figure it out together. In that way, when I'm not there, when someone else is there, you can figure it out by yourself. You
Mm.
know, so it's just those little helps. Reach out a hand. No, give a hand back. Help people out one day at a time. No, it's just that's just the best way to go about it.
I'm looking at you as the expert in using oat milks and almond milks and the products that they're using there. Latte art with alternative milks has traditionally been looked
Mhm.
at as a pain in the ass
Yeah,
by baristas. Any tips for baristas out there who are trying to do a better job with their alt milks because it's a high demand product these days?
yeah. So don't steam your alternative milks like whole milk. It's not the same thing. Whole milk has more fats in it. Alternative milks have less fats. So if you stretch it too much, you're not gonna get what you want. The idea I have for oat milk and almond milk is don't do it from 150 to 160. Do it from 145 to 155. Right? You want that milk to be warm or somewhat hot enough to just drink immediately. Bring out those natural sugars, work with it, pay attention to what's going on. This is when your sight, hearing, and touch on the pitch are all going to come in handy. Now, if you're hearing too much, you're stretching too far. If you're not hearing enough, you're not stretching enough, right? And if it's getting too hot, that means either you're touching with your fingertips and not your palm, or that steam wand's too close to the wall. So just be careful because you can burn alternative milks. People don't know that. You can burn those milks. Those sugars will burn out. You're like, oh, it just tastes like oat. Yeah, out the window. You know, yeah, mix accordingly. Like once you get it right, it's easy. I'm steaming stuff here where it's like this shouldn't even you shouldn't even be able to steam this stuff, and it just goes the same method applies. Like just remember that this is not the same as the last thing you steamed. This is totally different. You know, just figure it out. Light stretches, not big stretches, because people would man walk into a shop. You hear that noise. You're like, nope. What is that? Whole milk? Nah, it's oat milk. Nah, take it away.
As somebody who's done some really impressive clouds latte art, I can't quite relate to the skill set. But what did I not ask you today? What should people know about your efforts in coffee or in life generally?
In life and coffee, like we try and keep everybody moving forward in coffee. I don't know about most places, but here in LA, it's a tough industry. We if you're in a small shop that's not in an area where it's like saturated with coffee shops, it's tough. It's tough, but it also gives you more time to be a better barista. Do that, like focus on what you're doing, focus on your craft, compete more. I think more baristas in LA should compete more, whether it be in a throwdown or just any other coffee competition. you know it can help you out. If you win or lose, it doesn't matter. The point is you tried. And trying is never a bad thing to do. And also in life, like, yeah, man, I'm always up to help people. I'm always down to like see people do better. Trying to use my opportunities to give other people opportunities, making sure like shops treat their workers properly. I'm always constantly letting people know, like, as a California employee, you have rights. So if you ever need some like legal work advice, shoot me a DM and I'll tell you exactly what you need to do. But right now I'm just chilling. This is literally my first time not working 6 to 7 days a week in like the last decade. You know,
More time to skate.
more time to skate, more time to get kids on skates, more time to just hang out. And focus on everything else. Yeah, man, that's basically it right now. Just big chilling.
When you are taking that extra day and you're let's say you're out skating and you stop at a coffee shop and it's new, someplace you haven't been, but it looks like they're doing an all right job. What are you going to order?
Oh, I get the trio. The trio at any new shop is always the thing to get. That would be an espresso, a pour over, or just a batch coffee, um,
Hmm.
and then a cappuccino. And the reason for that is you get that espresso, you can taste it. Okay, it's good, right? There's some things in there that could be better. That's like these are questions, these are conversation starters for the barista, pretty much. Oh, what's on batch today? Oh, it's this and that. Oh, cool. Is it like a medium roast or a dark roast, like a blend? Great, right? That's easy. Espresso. Oh, what's on espresso today? Is it what kind of process? Is it natural process, wash, honey? Like, oh, tougher questions start coming in. They try to figure out the answers too. But if it tastes good, they're always gonna end up like, oh, does it taste good? Yeah, it tastes good. It tastes great. It's a little acidic, it's a little astringent. It could be like loosened up a bit. Let it flow a little bit more. It's like, cool, what's the time in that? Like, oh, I didn't time it. You should probably time that. Yeah. And then it goes to like the cappuccino, right? Because the cappuccino is the milk drink where if it's not good, anything past that size is not going to be good without sugar. I'm not the only one. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who thinks this, but that's like at the cappuccino is not good at a new shop. It's not going to be like I'm just going to pass on it most of the time. Or I'm gonna give it another try because it could just be the barista having a bad day or something.
Yeah, I have this policy that if I have a bad experience in a shop, I don't, I wouldn't like write a review or go out and say I had a bad experience because I don't know what was happening in that shop that day.
Yeah,
Whereas if I have a good experience or a positive experience, I'd like to share that because I'm optimistic. It's
yeah,
uh, pragmatic optimism that it's going to be good again. And there's plenty of people out there that'll tear a place down. And, I'd
yeah.
rather be somebody bringing a place up. What would make you go back to a shop then? Is it just the pure quality or is it the experience? I mean, how does that, what makes you go, man, you know what? I'm coming back.
It'll be the experience most of the time. Because again, like in LA, we don't have many shops that are like the wow factors here. But like the places I frequent now are more like I know the shop owners, or I know people who work there. So it's kind of like cheating in a way. Like it's not fair. 'Cause I know when I walk in, like my drink is probably going to be better than the last person's, which is okay. But at the same time, it's like it's not fair. But if I'm
Hmm.
going to a shop where I know absolutely no one there, the atmosphere is great, the presentation of the drink is great, the setting, the music, and all that stuff is on point, and my drink tastes like dirt, I'm gonna be like, well, damn. Like you almost had it. But I will also ask the question like, hey, what espresso are you using? What milk are you using? Like if I got oat milk, like what brand are you using? And when I hear these answers, I'm like, okay, that makes sense now. So then I
Hmm.
wouldn't be upset. But if I heard like, oh, it's a medium Guatemala, whatever, we're using Califia oat milk and this and that, I'm like, oh, okay. Do you need some help? I can help fix this because the drink wasn't that great.
That sounds to me like the perfect customer for the pour up right there.
Yep, that's the thing that I can help with. But other than that, like certain places I would go. I don't drink ice drinks. In certain places I would go, and if I like the coffee, I would get an ice drink. I would get like an espresso tonic or something. I'm like, oh damn, this is nice. You know, so that would really make me go back, or just like I said, if it's not for the aesthetic or the mood of the place where it feels more welcoming, I would definitely go back for the quality of the drinks. You know,
Hmm. I want to say thank you for spending this time with me, especially in the middle of the day. I certainly appreciate it. I also appreciate, as I mentioned, the excellence that you show at the events that I've seen you at. And it
thank
sounds
you.
very clear to me that, you're trying to pull that through the rest of your life as well. And so
Hmm.
anytime there are people in coffee trying to uplift other people, I certainly appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're
Appreciate you
welcome.
taking this time as well. This is good.
Okay, some quick key takeaways from the podcast today. Very quick, actually, considering Yoshawn's an inspiring guy. I wrote 1,000 words just in notes as I listened back to the show. For starters, if you want something, you can get it, but you're going to have to work for it. If you're intrinsically motivated, you can achieve even more when you reach out to collaborate. Yoshawn has been tapping into a desire to bring quality to his community by helping educate and uplift others, who will then also have a higher expectation for the quality of coffee and hospitality experience right there at home. Then when the confidence has risen, the experimentation begins, creating a more well-rounded coffee experience for all of us. Yoshawn brought up socializing while working early in the list of things he identified as challenges for baristas early in their journey. As a former bartender, I will vouch for the fact that it's a real skill to manage your workflow while also engaging with the humans. It isn't a requirement for making a great cup of coffee, but it is the difference between creating a product and providing a hospitality experience. Most people don't remember service that is accurate. You remember the feeling of connection that occurs when a barista or a bartender or a waiter adds that dash of hospitality that leads to warm, fuzzy emotional connections, both to a business and to that cup of coffee. Other thoughts from today's show include that sometimes it can be valuable to pause and let a bit of awareness seep in. It may help you decide on the next steps. And as for mental health, we all need outlets. We need to find that thing that gets us into a flow state outside of work. Be it skating or cycling or crafting or brewing a cup of coffee. Something that lets our brains relax and leave room for problem solving and perspective shifts. Something that's going on in the background sometimes. For me, it's riding a bike. If I'm not riding or my bike riding isn't bringing me joy, I know something else is off kilter in my life. Being good and being all right are two different things. So be sure to note where you are. Yoshawn was talking about skating when he said, quote, "You will fall and it will not feel good," end quote. But I think that is true of so much more than skating. Accepting falls as part of the process allows us to learn how to get back up, making it easier and easier to push beyond where we thought we were capable of going. Learning to get up is just as much a skill as being good enough to prevent the fall. That's our show for today. You can tap into a longer recap in our newsletter at roastwestcoast.com, and be sure to follow Yoshawn at ThePourUpLA on Instagram. All those links are in the podcast notes, and if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please tap the follow button and give us as many stars as you feel we've earned. Or if you're like me, an analog human being, tell a friend about the show. It really helps. I'm always telling friends about Roastar Coffee Packaging, found at roastar.com. They are this podcast's presenting sponsor, and they'll help you tell the big story of your small business. They've been an incredible support in enabling us to develop this platform where we share the stories of coffee people. We also have other great coffee industry partners, including Zumbar Coffee and Tea, Maria Coffee, and Cape Horn Green Coffee Importers, Crossings Coffee and Hisea Coffee Source, Ignite Coffee Company, Ascend Coffee Roasters, Me and My Uncle Coffee, Craft 42 Roasters, Relative Coffee, and Cozy Canine Coffee. Before I go, if you're listening, Alvin Kim, congrats on the new gig. And to everyone else, thanks for being here. More info on that Relative collab is on the horizon. Thank you for listening, for sharing this podcast, asking questions, and being coffee curious. This show, the Coffee People Podcast, is part of the Roast West Coast Coffee Network. And this episode has been written, produced, researched, and recorded by me, Ryan Woldt. Wherever you find yourself today, I hope it's with a fine cup of coffee. Thank you for listening to us tell the stories of coffee people. Cheers, everyone. If you are in the early stages of your coffee journey, we want to support you. Check out the Coffee Smarter Education podcasts. Coffee Smarter is designed to enable coffee drinkers to brew a better cup of coffee at home. And Coffee Smarter Pro covers industry-specific topics for baristas, roasters, shop owners, and aspiring coffee professionals. You'll find both shows on your favorite podcast platforms or on our website at coffeesmarterpodcast.com.